Corruption. Corruption has affected our country for decades. Look, out of the crisis that led to the removal of Edward Roye, he had gone to London to get a loan, and his Secretary of State, Richard Johnson, had come back and said that loan is not a good loan for our country. There are all kinds of percentages, and by the time we get paid, we'll not even get anything out of it. There was a belief that the loan process itself and the whole loan was just a product of corruption. And in the end, our president in 1871 was removed. You know, people keep saying 1980 was the first coup. The first coup, as you have heard, many people saying, the historians that come before you, was in 1871. And it was not a bloodless coup, it was a bloody coup. Why? The Republicans, led by Joseph James Roye, had their men, their machetes, they had the people shooting all over the place. The supporters of President Edward Roye, according to history, were also shooting. Later on, against the Constitution, instead of impeaching the man, they met somewhere in Monrovia, and those legislators opposed to Roye wrote a manifesto. And here is what they say in the manifesto. From this day on, President Edward Roye is hereby deposed. That's a coup d'etat. President Edward Roye is hereby deposed as president of Liberia. What happened to the Constitution? And then they put him on trial for treason. So a jailer that he appointed, he told the jailer, he said, please let me go. The jailer said, go. I see Abayemi Cassell wrote his history book. When he got to the waterside, it may have been Slipway or West Point or one of the places there, they grabbed him and dragged him in the street of Monrovia, and they put him back in jail, and he bled to death. Then they write in history that so he was doing, then he drowned. The proper history has to be. I read all of this when I was doing my research at Harvard. There are over 3,000 entries on Liberia, and all I was doing was reading the history I had not read in Liberia. The man bled to death. That was a bloody coup. And they say, oh, he drowned. You're going and trying to get in a crew canoe and he drowned. That is a lie. It's not true. Then, after that, all of the legislators and members of the government who were members of the Tory party ran away from Monrovia. They went into hiding. The Vice President, James Smith, went to Buchanan in hiding because he was from Grand Bassa. They established an interim government of white-looking Liberians, light-skinned people. One of them was called Reginald Sherman. Reginald Sherman had when you look at the picture, had a hair like Joseph James Roye's, you know, like he was an octaron, meaning about 25% black blood. General, he was a general in the militia. General Reginald Sherman was a member. There was a Fulton Dunbar who was a member. There were three, I've forgotten the third person. There were 3-member interim government, like a council, established after the deposed Edward Roye. And there was an interim government. They call it in the literature interim government. They served for a few months, and then they realized that no, we can't go this way. Let's send for James Smith. They sent for James Smith. They sent for the other legislators who were members of the Tory party. They came back. And when James Smith took over, he gave a very critical speech that condemned both his late boss, Edward Roye, because Edward Roye was trying to extend his stay by putting something on the ballot and say, the way you have voted, it means that I got 4 years. They said, no, your 2 years are ended. He said, no. After you have voted, it meant I got 2 years. You didn't see the ballot. And at the same time, there was a controversy over the loan that they felt that he had benefited from. Then, this thing happened. So when he came, he said that his boss was wrong for trying to extend his stay in power that way. But also those who were opposed to him were wrong because his removal was unlawful, was against the Constitution. You don't meet and write a manifesto and depose a president of Liberia. That's not what the 1847 Constitution said. He gave that speech. And then, as you can see, what happened later on was that Joseph James Roye, after the election, came right back.